Hello. What a beautiful day. Many wonderful things happened. One, my son, this is a journal about my life. My son said, Daniel, it stinks in here. Turn on the air conditioning. And I loved it because many times I have an agenda or I have a plan for the future. And other times he was reading a book, like we just finished reading this one, The Guy Who Lost His Beach House. We finished reading a story in it. And you see all of these tissues and things. My son starts sneezing, and I tell him that it's because the room is dirty. I don't tell him why he starts sneezing. But right now he said, Daniel, it stinks in here, and your breath smells. So he didn't want to read the book. My breath smells. So I washed my teeth. Then he washed his, because we already had eaten breakfast. And that's a parenting tip. Now he knows why he needs to brush his teeth, so that his mouth doesn't smell. Like daddy's. Like Daniel's. And these little tissues, he puts them over here on my table, and I throw them back at him at his bed. Then his mother comes in here and cleans up. And I tell her, well, she says, clean up. And I said, I will, but I have a plan, and this is it. My son now, he wants to clean this room. He says, this is your room, Daniel. And I said, it's your room, son. Thank you for letting me stay in here. And then he says, no, it's more your room than mine. Then I said, well, thank you for letting me stay in here. And then he says, no, it's your room, Daniel. And I said, well, okay. So we go back and forth, but we're both going to clean it up now. We made that promise. Last night, in the middle of the night, no. Last night after darkness, in the cover of darkness, right? We did something. Every day I throw out my trash, or every other day I throw out my trash, and I used to throw it right outside my door. And then my son, whenever he would get around to it, he would pick it up and put it in the trash can. But he never got around to it because Mama kept coming to pick up the trash and take it to the trash can. But then Mama would come and explain things to me that that's not the way she wants her backyard to look. So I did the next best thing. I began to open the door and fling my trash bags all the way to, to the trash can. But my son still would not pick them up, even though they were closer, or at least halfway closer to the trash can. So Mama would come in and say, why are you throwing trash bags all the way, full trash bags all the way over there? Put them in the can. So last night, in the cover of darkness, my son got an idea. So I nudged him into it. What if we put the trash can closer? So we got, I was thinking right outside the door, put the trash can. But no, he put it on the side where Mama had this morning said, where is the trash can? So that's how we play around. But when she comes, I'm always serious. But I do play around. I'm always serious because otherwise she starts yelling. But if I'm serious, she doesn't yell at me. And I am playing around. But this is fun. Life would be boring without Daniel. All right. So, what happened next? Well, last night I smelled through the wall from somewhere in my nose before I could fall asleep. I kept smelling something burning, maybe milk on the stove, maybe coffee. I don't know what it was. But I'm not going to go over there in the middle of the night, knock on the door, and wake up everybody. So I didn't go over there. And sure enough, even before that, I said, well, if there's a fire, they'll have to handle it. They have a fire extinguisher. That's one. Then said, man, what kind of a father are you going to let the daughter, you're going to let her get burned and all that? I'm like, well, if I smell smoke, I'll go wake them up. But I didn't smell it. I smelled something burning. But it could have been my imagination, because this morning I found out that there was nothing burning. But there was something irregular. My mother likes to sleep all day lying down. And she's got the TV on and things, but she's awake sometimes. But she's flat, like flat. And I tell her, your food is going to come back and you're going to throw it up. But she doesn't listen to me. All right? She doesn't listen to me. So, right now I gave her one of my pillows. She finally did listen to me. But why did she finally listen to me? This morning, the girls came to wake me up. Well, at least the spouse came and said, help me pick up your mother from the floor. Now, I don't get alarmed, because this happens about once a year, maybe twice a year. So I went over there to do a visual inspection, show that I am a good son. I didn't laugh. I'm not supposed to laugh when I'm over there. Sure enough, my mother is on the floor. And I told the spouse to call an ambulance to pick up so they can come and pick her up. But my mother said, no, because it costs $69 apparently to get the ambulance here. But I told her, I'm not strong enough to pick you up. For several reasons. Once, 2 neighbors went, and I worked with one of these neighbors. This guy can pick up 100 pounds by himself, a piece of drywall, and the other one climbs trees, so to cut them down. So I mean, they're both stronger than I am. And I said, no, let's call the ambulance. But Mama said no. Mother, right? So an hour later, we finally were able to pick her up. But I used the dolly for furniture. You know, the one with the square or rectangular thing with four wheels, that you put a sofa on it and then you can move it. I put a piece of wood on top of it. I grabbed one arm, the spouse grabbed another arm, and the daughter, when we lifted, we finally got it together, because it only took one try. We finally picked her up. I grabbed one elbow, right, or like my shoulder to her shoulder, and kind of picked her up just a little bit off the ground, maybe this much, which is 4 or 5 inches off the ground, because the bed is higher up than that. And the daughter, she slid in the dolly, and we finally had Grandma sitting on that for a while. And then we decided that there's a problem. There are several problems. One, I wanted to call the ambulance, because otherwise, if Grandma dies, then, or my mother, then we could get accused of old people abuse, senior citizen abuse or something, negligence or something like that. You know, in case I pull her arm. But she's very, very obese, so she's got very thick arms and things, but who knows. There were several problems. One, the bed has 3 mattresses. It's a huge bed, probably for a husband and wife, 2 people queen or king. It's queen, I think. And the three mattresses were just too tall. That's one problem. The second problem is you really can't come into my mother's room by opening the door. You gotta like push the door halfway and then it hits the bed and then you squeeze in. That is just the wrong design for the room, for that size bed. But if we move the bed, which mother is against it, then we have to move the TV, which has it's a whole furniture thing. So the room is too small, but then there were things on the floor. There was a towel on the floor. There were shoes on the floor shoes are all right, but they need to be in the separate so that Mama won't fall. It was a messy room. All right, that's why I don't live over there. Messy for several reasons. If you're gonna have a dresser and a night table and a TV, there's just no space for it. There's no space for that stuff. Get everything out, and then you have enough space. But here's why she did it. Mother didn't want to go all the way to the bathroom. So, for some reason, she grabbed a huge garbage can. It's 3 feet tall. The white ones, for the kitchen. And then she lost her balance because when she popped it under her, it was too tall, and she flipped sideways. And she never took off her pants, but they were like by her knees and stuff when I found her. So quickly, the spouse covered her up with a towel or with a bed sheet. Everything was messed up. The bed. Then, of course, we decided to move 2 mattresses up towards the wall, and on the actual, it's not a mattress, it's the bed frame type of mattress. You don't sleep on it, you put the mattress on top of it. On that one is a bunch of wood. We finally were able to get Grandma to sit on top of it. Well, actually, she didn't sit on top of it. She just leaned back, and then we couldn't push her we couldn't push her because the 2 mattresses were blocking her head like this. Okay, this here is her body, and the mattress, she was touching the head there, and so she couldn't, her head was hitting the mattresses. So we had to like rotate her sideways. It was tricky to get her to sit on the bed, and then to help her put on a second pair of pajamas, because of course during this time she began throwing up, because like I said, you gotta stay in, you know what 90 degrees is? Like, if this is, let's see, oh boy, let me see how I do it here. Oh, this is like 90 degrees. So this, if you sit up, like I'm sitting up right now, I'm almost 90 degrees, right? I'm on my bed. But if I lean back all the way down and like at an angle, that's fine. But I shouldn't be flat, because if you're going to be flat, then all the stomach acids, they come back out and you throw up. So we finally got Grandma to get on the bed frame and lean back. She began to say that she couldn't breathe, and she began to say that, well, not breathing, but she said she was not feeling well. And she really looked clammy, like you touch her skin and it's a sweat, but it's wet. It's not even sweaty. It's weird. And so then what happened next was, well, we cleaned her up, got her dressed. Then I brought my cereal to sit down with her, make her company. She said, "Don't eat in front of me right now, please." So I got out of the room. And here we are. Then the spouse asked me, we're almost, what? We've been living together for a long time. We've been living in the same house for a long time. And she asked me how I want my eggs. So I told her the way I always explain to her. I like my eggs so that when I grab a fork and I poke it, the yellow stuff pops out all around. And then she says, all right. I've heard that before. I'll do it. So that's what we've been up to today. Now, my mom's friend was 67 or so when I Googled her, because she said she wanted to learn how to use the computer. So I typed her name in, and oh, here you are, your brother, your sister, and you're 67 years old. And she said, that's not me. And she got up and left. She didn't want to learn any more about the computer. And so what happened with her was she fell down one time, and the neighbor was coming. And I said, great, just in time. He's going to help you get up right now. And since she was in her pajamas, she was like, oh, no, he's not. And she got up from the floor by herself. All right. So she might be a little bit stronger than my mom. Another time, to get my aunt up, I call her aunt, right? I had hooked up a pull-up bar. You can see one of those videos where it had a chain. So I actually gave her the chain, and she was holding on to it like this, but she was able to pick herself up a little bit, just enough to be able to we had a child's sofa, cushions only, and we put her under her butt, and we were later able to get her off the floor that way. I always remember my ex-girlfriend, Isabel. Hello, Isabel. And she hurt her back because she was taking care of an old man, and she didn't know about calling the ambulance. He had fallen off the bed at night. And she said that it may have been an hour, but it's a very, very long hour until she finally got him on the bed, just with his wife and with her. So they finally did it. I mean, when you go, I did take those classes for taking care of old people. They used to call them CNA or HHA, Home Health Aid and things. I took those classes. They were helpful because you learn where you put your foot and how to grab them and so on, and how to make your life easier. You know, like, don't just pick them up 2 feet off the ground and put them on the bed or whatever the bed height is. That's just too much at one time. So putting her on the dolly was the way I did it to pick up my mom. And then again, it was not by myself. You know, you need the daughter to push the dolly in, and you need the spouse to pick up the other arm. So that's what we did. Alright, so that's what's been going on. At the park, we had fun. We're doing our Shaolin rice bags, and we're tossing them, and we have a group of, well, yesterday 2 boys, the day before 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids played with us yesterday, or no, the day before. Yesterday was only 2, and my son and I, we tossed a rice bag, maybe 15-20 pounds, for about 45 minutes. The other kids, the one lasted 8 minutes, the other one lasted 18 minutes, and then they both kept going for water breaks, and then some of them didn't come back. All right, talk to you later. Somebody wants me here. Enjoy your life.